Literary conventions are features or practices of certain genres that occur in multiple books that readers or audience understand, recognize, and accept as techniques to facilitate the plot of the story. Some conventions of these are evident in my book Hand of the Baskerville, but also in many other classic and successful crime fiction books. Some of these conventions are listed on my slide. These conventions are evident in my chosen book as Sherlock Holmes, the protagonist and detective, is portrayed as an intelligent man that is able to use his cunning deducting skills to solve the murder at the end of the novel. A short story by Roald Dahl called Lamb to the Slaughter has a different set of conventions, as we already know the killer, but there is still a detective and red herrings. The setting of a story can affect the central mood of the scene. It plays an instrumental role in finding out how the characters really feel and also to lift the growing tension in the scene. This is called pathetic fallacy. The setting in a crime fiction novel will vary based on the mood of the plot. Most authors use the gothic type setting that displays the sadness or cruelty of a crime felt by the... This can be seen in Hound of the Baskervilles, as the murder and resolution takes place on a rainy, muddy night. This shows how the author, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, has used the weather to display moods and feelings based on the central idea of the scene. In a typical narrative, the plot will have an exposition, which is the start of the story that introduces the setting, characters, and in a crime fiction, the murder. Then the tension in the story will slowly increase until it reaches the climax, which is a crucial part of the story of any novel, as this is when the tension or conflict reaches its highest level. Then the resolution or denouement, which ties the story together or leads into another sequel. The plot structure is crucial and must fall into this order, as it will not make sense. Lamb to the Slaughter uses this structure effectively. The tension starts to build after the killing, then the climax hits when the questioning starts. The resolution falls in the favour of the killer or Mary, and the policemen eat the evidence. Crime fiction genre, the protagonist is put through a series of events that will have his characteristics and motives undergo a change. This change can affect his decisions and motives during the book. An example of a character development is Jack Stapleton from Sherlock Holmes' Hand of the Baskerville. He starts off as an eccentric young scientist with no sign of villainy. Then the book progresses and he is portrayed as an anxious and very concerned about the clues and evidence found. By the end of the novel, he is revealed as the killer and his personality completely changes to a greedy, insecure young man. Also, in Lamb to the Slaughter, Mary starts off as a sweet, stereotypical lady who only cares about others. She is then overcome by anger and shock. Any narrative or novel will have certain techniques that bring depth and understanding to the story. They can be used in many forms to display emotions, humour, and plot details. Some of these are listed below. Evidence of this can be seen in Lamb to the Slaughter. A sense of humour is displayed when the police officer ate the weapon. This also has a sense of dramatic irony as the characters don't know who the killer is, but the audience sees the murder in the opening scenes. Dialogue is used effectively as it is able to show the emotions, as Patrick has a harsh tone to him and only talking when he is forced to, and Mary is seen as sweet and caring about Patrick by offering him dinner constantly. Quote, "Oh darling, you must eat, I have a lamb in the freezer," said Mary. Slaughter is a crime fiction short story written by Roald Dahl. In this story, he chooses the reader to know the killer, which differentiates itself from the classic conventions. He does this so we can experience the growing tension in the story. Patrick and Mary's characteristics display irony, as Patrick cares more about himself and she cares about others. Patrick's behaviour towards Mary foreshadows eventual death as she lets out all displayed in the quote, "It wouldn't be good for my job," quote, "I'll get it," she cried, jumping up. "Sit down," he said, quote. This dialogue shows how Mary is sweet and caring and speaks very short and vaguely in an aggressive tone. The Baskerville is a crime fiction story written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. The quote, "He burst into one of his rare fits of laughter as he turned away from the picture. I have not heard him laugh often, and it was always bodily ill to somebody." Quote, this characterizes Holmes as usually being an uptight man that is dignified. Also, when Sherlock portrays Watson by lying to him, he is seen as being deceitful. Quote, "And the fluorescent dog scared him to death." This quote displays humour among the characters, when Jake accidentally reveals his own clue, and this foreshadows the solving of the crime as it is crucial to solving the case.
Created using Powtoon.